I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich. Hello everyone, welcome back to another PMQ stream for, what is it, July the 13th, 2022. It has been a few days, 6 to be exact, since Boris Johnson tendered his resignation, not just as Prime Minister, but also as the leader of the Conservative Party. With this, we now have, I think, 8 challengers for the throne of Prime Minister for what remains of a term in office, which is about 2 years, maybe slightly over, maybe slightly less at this point. So what on earth a Prime Minister could do at this point for the Conservatives before an election is unknown. Then again, they're up against Labour, and at this point I don't think anyone considers either option to be a lesser of the other evil in favour of utter shite either way. Because neither of them really have any control when it comes to spending. Neither have any real solutions to many of the problems we face. The Conservatives claim to be low tax, but in doing so they compromise our economy because at the moment the only realistic option that is on the table is tax, and I don't agree with it in the slightest, but since they're in the back pocket of the companies that are increasing these bills by such a margin, it is understandable that they won't want to budge because they're backed by them, not realising that that means they're controlled by them. Then again, Labour are no better. The unions have chosen the exact moment when the economy is at its weakest to say, right, well, we want more money as well. If these energy companies can get all this extra money out of the customer, you need to start paying us more too, or we strike and the rails are absolutely rubbish. Like, they'll be of no use to anyone, really. And that's what's going to happen because another strike is imminent. I believe on the 27th, was it? Or 20th? At some point in the next 2 weeks, there'll be another strike on the rails because the first one didn't yield the desired outcome. So yes, that's the state of affairs right now. And I know some will say that's the legacy of Boris. Sure, let's do that. I don't care, really, who's to blame. I just want a solution to the problem. These are problems that need resolving. The unions wouldn't be demanding so much money if the cost of living hadn't skyrocketed, by the way. So deal with the cost of living, and perhaps you might have less of an issue with the rails. Although I would point out, the majority of the rails are privatised. Therefore, what is the actual point of them going to the government to ask for more money when it's not the government that has to deal with this? Just the thing that is entirely on the companies themselves that run and own the railways, who are too busy paying all their shareholders vast amounts of profits rather than investing in actual infrastructure that works and improves the quality of service that would lead to long-term financial gain. Apparently no one thinks of long-term, they're only interested in the short-term. But at this point, what do I know? I'm just a dickhead with a microphone. Anyway, let us begin. I'll pull you guys up, I can't see you. If the chat will do that. There we go. Hello, Wandering Lisa. Hello, Chaos. Hope you're both well.
To STEM roles where their talents
I
are most
have
needed.
taken the liberty of turning the volume up as high as it will go. Not just on YouTube, but also on OBS. So and I'll quote last week's comment, banal commentary won't be so loud. I'd hate to blow your blasted eardrum out. Prick.
And as already touched upon, a new task force will increase the number of women-led high-growth businesses.
I don't know why the women-led aspect needs to be important, but I know who this is. This is Ruth Davis, and she became an MP quite young. She became an MP for Norwich South, is it? And when she did, not long later, George Osborne threw her under the bus by having her go on Question Time. Was it Newsnight? No, Newsnight. And Jeremy Paxman, a Labour man, annihilated her. She was a quivering mess because of it.
I thank the Minister for her answer. Will she join me in welcoming the unequivocal workplace practice
And interpreted by
Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker?
Okay.
In
I'm
March
seeing
of
Boris
this year,
here, but I don't see Boris.
rightly. So what
Right, look at this.
assessment
Hang
has
on. Pause that. Look at this. Do you see that? That says Boris and Keir Starmer. Yeah, I don't see him. Oh.
If you stand again, I'll lord you out. Make your mind up. And then shut up and get out.
Oh, I like that already.
Minister to sorry. Minister, I want the question answered. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. Can you just answer the question?
apologise, Mr. Speaker, yes.
Order, because I couldn't hear it. Sorry. Please, Minister, try again.
I apologise for confusion, Mr. Speaker. The answer to the Honourable Lady is yes. I'm happy
Excellent.
to.
Thank you. That's very...
Right, so PMQs is about to begin, and someone's getting told off. I'm ready for this. Okay.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to point out that the British Sign Language interpretation proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We now come to questions to the Prime Minister. I start with Robin Miller.
I'm going to turn the captions off because I don't need it.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, hang on. Someone's asking for a referendum. That's what it is. Oh. Yes.
From tomorrow. Just sit in there. Sit. Shut up a minute.
Order.
Come. Give me the word in. Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this. I will not tolerate such behaviour. If you want to go out now, but if you stand again, I'll lord you out. Make your mind up. And then shut up and get out.
Oh. Naughty.
I warn the honourable member that if there's protesting carrying out, just shut up a minute. Does somebody want...
I feel so bad for Lindsay Hoyle. He doesn't have the voice. He doesn't have Burko's voice. He cannot boom like he used to.
Order. Sit down. You want me in the future. I now warn the honourable members that if they persist in refusing to comply with my order to withdraw, I shall be compelled to name both of them, which may lead to them being suspended from the House. Right, names. To ensure that the honourable member complies.
And there are adults in charge. Indeed, Lulu Booby Bell. That is indeed the case. This is actually interesting. I like this. By the way, so you're not meant to. The procedure is the first question number one. Basically, question one is the engagement of the Prime Minister, what he's doing for the day, or she is doing for the day. Usually they use it as an excuse to commemorate some bollocks that I don't give a fuck about, and then they go on about saying they got meetings in the House. And that quote, that like meetings here and here and here and here, came from someone else. It probably came from someone like Tony Blair or Margaret Thatcher, to be honest. Honestly. Hello, Big Bad Wolfie. This standing MP, Scottish MP, probably Liberal, I don't know, they are breaking the rules, the decorum. They are not meant to be stood. The Prime Minister stands only. There's no reason to be there. They're drawing attention. They may get suspended, but this is all about Scottish independence, apparently.
Where's the names? Shut up. Shh. Neil Lambie, I am now naming you and Kenny McCaskill to leave this chamber. Sergeant, deal with them. Deal with them.
Oh, so now he has the security guy. There's a dude with a sword. Yes. They're now charged with removing them. Hello, Penguin.
Deal with them. Just sit down. Out. No. Sergeant at Arms, escort them out.
So Sergeant of Arms is a sole person. They wear this ridiculous uniform, and they have a sword. And their job is to maintain the order when the Speaker demands them to do it. Yeah. They actually have something to do. Can we move back? I want to see this. Oh, this is embarrassing. I want to see them getting evicted.
Right, Sergeant, let them out.
Are you going to moon the Speaker while you're at it?
Come on. Insurrection.
Insurrection.
Then let's just see if we can.
Government should be reformed. I agree. A totalitarian theocracy is the right way forward. Believe in me. That's all that matters. No lives matter.
Mr. Costa, you don't want to go and escort them to the tea room, do you? No, I suggest not. I think you're good and better behaved than that. Right, we'll try again after that. Prime Minister will now go to Robin Miller.
Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow, the first instalment of the cost of living payment will start landing in the bank accounts of 8 million households across the country.
Hello, Gemma. Hello, Cyrene. You're not late.
326.
Just to be clear, I started like 45 minutes early. You know, no apology at all. On the naughties. Yeah, thing is, they've been booted out, right? I think they lose a day's pay, and that's about it. These guys are on 80 grand a year or something. I doubt it hurts them that much, all right? That is a pointless gesture.
Pound cash boost.
Especially when you get independence, you'll have none of your own fucking money anyway.
For families, and forms part of the 1,200 in direct support that we're giving to the most vulnerable households this year.
We'll get nothing, I'm sure.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House was appalled and saddened, as I was, to hear about the despicable attack on Shinzo Abe.
In the murder.
Our thoughts are with his family and...
It's murder? The guy 3D printed a gun, didn't he? Like, seriously, was it? It was apparently it was Hideo Kojima. That's the new Sam Hyde, apparently.
Loved ones and the people of Japan.
Okay, Cyrene, thoughts so far? Couldn't care less. Nothing interesting's happened. There's mostly just people being dicks to each other.
At this dark and sad time.
Rishi Sunak is
Mr.
likely
Speaker,
to
this
win.
week we remember the genocide in Srebrenica and the victims of those appalling events. We must learn the lessons of history and do all in our power to prevent such a thing happening again. We will continue to combat war crime deniers, both in Bosnia and Herzegovina and elsewhere. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Robin Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Prime Minister for his personal interest in Aberconwy, whether he's been eating ice cream on the pier in Llandudno, sampling Welsh Penderyn whisky, or standing on the granite quarry in Penrhyn.
Penderyn whisky is banging. Anyone that says otherwise can do yourself. It's absolutely delicious. Penderyn Madeira finish, beautiful. I've not had the sherry finish or the peated one. I've had Legend though. Oh, that's so naughty. If I had more money, I'd buy more. I've only got one bottle of Penderyn, and I don't want to open it because I don't have a replacement. It's so good, though.
He's seen why they love this constituency. He's also heard from them their gratitude for the vaccine and furlough programmes that this UK government...
This is the plant question.
Will my right honourable friend now support our plan to level up Aberconwy and our bid for almost £20 million of funding to invest in community and cultural programmes and give us the opportunity to match our potential?
Yeah. So, Big Bad Wolfie, not necessarily a totalitarian one, but the one holds accountability and responsibility, more so one that serves our interests. Only problem with that is it doesn't come with a guarantee that it will be immune to corruption. Unfortunately, such a thing can never exist. It can never truly exist. It really can't. Because many would consider it far too idealist. This government is held to account. If you've ever seen the committees, they do broadcast them on the Parliament, BBC channel, defund the BBC, of course. And they are interesting to watch, these politicians being made to squirm or be called to Parliament here to answer questions. They are held to account. It's just we don't see much of the process or hear much of the process. And I think that's a fundamental failure on the part of this on any government that is trying to branch out on social media, but also hello astronaut Violet, but also not be as open about what this is. I would have loved to see the negotiations. I'd love to see them release the videos of those negotiations so we can see how it happened with the EU when it came to Brexit. That would be an absolutely fantastic historical thing to look at and try and this jizz whistle. Hi, Orla.
I thank my honourable friend, and he's a great champion for Aberconwy, and I much enjoyed the Penderyn whiskey that we sampled together. Mr. Speaker, I ignored the revolver, as some of you may have noticed. We are committed to uniting and levelling up the UK, and as for the second round of the Levelling Up Fund announcements,
Darren's amazing. Hey, Banter Bus. It's been a while since I've seen you here. Hope you've been well. We don't seem to lose it. That's very true. That's because I believe Boris changed the ministerial code, so you don't. Hope you've been well, Banter Bus. It's been a while.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Yeah, I can't see it happening
Mr. Speaker, may I join the Prime Minister on his comments about the former Prime Minister of Japan, a deeply shocking moment, and of course his comments about genocide. Mr. Speaker, may I welcome the new Cabinet to their places? We have a new Chancellor who accepted a job from the Prime Minister on Wednesday afternoon and then told him to quit on Thursday morning.
Yeah, some people know when a ship is sinking, and they're right to advise the government when it's a gotcha, I get. Come on.
A new Northern Ireland Secretary who once asked if you need a passport to get to Derry. And the new Education Secretary, who's junior minister...
Secretary, not secretary. Secretary. You want to be Prime Minister? Learn to speak English and have your adenoids removed. Can you stop with the virtue thing of having, like, a harem of women around you as well, please? Hey, Teddy, hope you're well. I replied to your message, by the way. If, by chance, you happen to have a spare volume pot, can you please let me know? I'll happily buy it off you.
Have literally been giving the middle finger to the public. It is truly the country's...
So that's actually, Orla, that's the thing. Didn't, so this is something obscure, I don't know if it's true or not. Didn't Trump have to relinquish his businesses or control of his businesses while he was president to his daughter? Because I think he did, if memory serves. He had to do that because he couldn't do both.
Loss, that they will only be in post for a few weeks. Now, the Prime Minister must be feeling more happy since he was pushed out of office. Finally, he can throw off the shackles,
maybe
say
one
what
day,
he
Banter
really
Bus.
thinks, and forget about following the rules. So, does he agree? Does he agree it's time to scrap the absurd non-dom status that allows the super rich to dodge tax in this country?
Yes.
Prime Minister, well, I thank you very much, and it's perfectly true that I'm grateful for the ability to speak my mind. I never really lost, Mr. Speaker, but what I'm focusing on is continuing the government of
Joe, hope you're
the
well.
country.
Celtic superiority.
And,
I
as
understand.
I've just told you, Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow, £326 is arriving. Never mind non-doms, Mr. Speaker. Doms or non-doms, I don't mind.
He's more of a sub-person.
£326 is arriving in the bank accounts of 8 million vulnerable people. And how can we do that? Because we took the decisions to get the strong economy that we currently have, that I'm afraid were...
Not that strong, 9.1% inflation, fuel at over £2 per litre. Yes, you've got all these people in work, but those people in work are now struggling to pay their bills, which is why you're giving them money as well. You're having to get from borrowing, which is in the form of gilts. For those who don't know, GILTS, which is like a bond. We borrow the money and then pay back interest over a period of time, and at the end of it, we pay the full amount. Not such a strong economy, is it now, Boris? Come on. Ah, no, you
resisted
cannot
by,
banter us.
sorry, growth
Don't have
in
to,
May
but they are
of
obliged to.
0.5%.
Trump
Mr.
didn't?
Speaker,
Okay, well, that's news to me. I
they
thought he had my
We have,
mistake.
as I told you before, Mr. Speaker, 620,000 more people in
Okay, well, what Trump
payroll
said,
employment
so,
than before the
I'm
pandemic
not American,
began.
so I know.
And one of the consolations of leaving office at this particular time, Mr. Speaker, is that vacancies are at an all-time high.
All right. By the way, these crappy jokes, you can tell which ones are actually amusing. Hello, Tim. Hope you're well.
Cut him some slack. Faced with an uncertain future, a mortgage-sized decorator's bill that'll be soon for somebody else's flat. I'm not surprised he's careful not to upset any future employers.
I mean, if he goes back to being editor of one of the newspapers, he'll probably just make 400-500 grand a year like he was before.
So here's an even simpler one. Does he agree that offshore schemes can pose a risk because some people use them to avoid tax they owe here?
So, by the way, if you notice, hello, opinionated Scotsman, hope you're well. If you notice, Boris didn't answer the first question and instead spoke about the strong economy. That's not entirely true. And I don't expect him to answer this one either, because it involves talking about tax, and the Conservatives love to say they're the low-tax government.
Prime Minister.
Oh, by the way, if you turned up now, you've missed the start where the Speaker yeeted 2 Scottish MPs from Parliament being absolute twats, and I loved it. It was exciting. But we didn't get to see them, which is really irritating. Reject Britain, return to Jacobite. Jacobite is a terrible whiskey.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the investment that this country...
Donate to my coffee so I can do log cabin stuff. Yeah, I've shilled it now, okay? I've done my part.
People from offshore people investing in the UK. I'm absolutely thrilled to see that we've had, I think, 12 billion in tech alone come in the last couple of months.
By the way, 12 billion in tech could be akin to upgrading the NHS computers from Windows 95 to Windows Vista.
I think it's possible, Mr. Speaker, he's referring not to me, but to some of the 8 brilliant candidates who are currently vying for my job. Let me just tell him that any one of them will wipe the floor with Captain.
The thing is, I actually think they would. But I think there is an issue here that compounds the problem. The issue that compounds the problem is that the Conservatives will have, by the time an election is called, in 2 more years' time, been in government for 14 years. At that point, I think people will be fed up of Conservatives just enough to give Keir a chance. So whatever this person does, whoever it is, whether it be Penny Mordaunt or Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, or Nadeem Sahawi, I think he's one of them as well. Whoever it is, they have got, there's 4 others, I can't remember who they are. Jeremy Hunt might be another. Where whoever they are, they've got to try and earn back some trust, and quickly. They don't have time to muck about. And that's not good. It really puts them in a bind. I still think Boris would beat Keir Starmer in 2 years had he not completely cocked up over more recent scandals.
Captain...
He was going to say charisma there, wasn't he?
Can I just say, the furniture has to be repaired. And one of the members already had one bill. I'm sure he doesn't want another. Prime Minister.
Any one of them would wipe the floor with Captain Crasheroony Snooze Fest, Mr. Speaker.
Crasheroony Snooze Fest.
That is
what
exactly what they will do.
That.
They will unite around
Hunt
the
is
winner
out, is he?
and do just that.
So Hunt had his chance when he was against Boris. I think that was at Gove. Doesn't matter. Hunt was better then.
Yes, Starmer.
He's been saying all week that he wants revenge on those that have wronged him. Here's an idea, Prime Minister.
Teddy, I don't need the wires. You're golden,
really
mate. I just need the tone and the
he should
volume.
tighten the rules on tax avoidance.
I've got some wires spare anyway.
Does he agree that anyone running to be Prime Minister should declare where they and their families have been domiciled for tax purposes?
So this is a Rishi Sunak thing because his wife is non-dom, and she's worth near $1 billion.
And whether they've ever been a beneficiary of an offshore tax
Zahawi's
scheme.
out as well. Okay. That sucks.
Prime Minister.
I have a feeling it's going to be Rishi Sunak, to be honest. He's young, and I think that really, really works for the party.
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, everybody in this Parliament, everybody in this House pays their full whack of tax in this country, and I think that people should members
well, the same can apply to Labour, Lib Dems. They're all absolute, as you call them,
I think people pay their fair share of taxes, and
but
quite right. What
they
we're
have to
doing,
give that person a chance, regardless of whether or not they are a CNTS.
That we have had. That we're able to support the people of this country in the way that we are. So we've been able to increase universal credit by £1,000, Mr. Speaker. We're putting £326 into from tomorrow into the bank accounts of those who need it most, Mr. Speaker. And thanks to the policies we have pursued, as I have just told you, we have unemployment at or near record lows. And that is what counts, Mr. Speaker. No, they are very happy to see people languish on benefits. We believe in getting people into good jobs. And I'm looking for one.
I'm looking for one.
I've been keeping up with what's happening the last few days. Over the weekend, the candidates to replace him have promised £330 billion in giveaways. That's roughly double the annual budget for the NHS. Sadly, they haven't found time to explain how they're paying for it, even though one of them's the Chancellor and another one was Chancellor until a week ago. They all backed 15 tax...
Yeah, Rishi is probably not in the room right now. He doesn't need to be there. They put in charge as financial in this stuff. Yeah, he's having his taxes investigated. Oh, you mean the guy here on the right, Nadeem Sahawi? Yeah, I'm not surprised actually. But the guy's a self-made millionaire, so I've got to give him some credit.
Prizes. Now they're acting as if they've just arrived from the moon, saying it should never have happened.
What would I personally favour? No Lives Matter, of
that
course.
Rather than desperately rewriting history, they should at least explain exactly where they're getting all this cash from.
Same place Labour would, borrowing it.
Prime Minister.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, he's completely right. I've been listening very carefully, and all the commitments that I'm listening to are very clear. We will continue. Whoever is elected will continue to put more police out on the street, exactly as we promised. Already at 30,000.
That's fair, Alfonso. I think he's the best in all.
Will build. They always complain about it.
I don't know. Liz Truss probably has the best support. He's young enough to be able to get away with it.
They don't want it. They don't like it, Mr. Speaker, because they voted against the funding. They voted against the funding that makes it possible, Mr. Speaker. And they have also,
I don't know the party, so I could be completely wrong.
Been in office, made extra commitments of public spending worth £94 billion.
The Scottish Parliament is a joke. Absolutely, it's a one-party system. Of course, it's a joke.
For every
There's no legitimate contender for them right now.
That's the difference between them and us.
Totally deluded to the bitter end. Now, to be fair...
Mr. Oldham, I think that's the last time I hear from you today. I think otherwise you might be able to buy a couple of other people cups of tea. Yes,
to be fair to the new Chancellor...
By that he means waste taxpayer money by claiming for food.
He's at least attempted to spell it out. He's promised tens of billions in tax cuts and confirmed he would cut the NHS, the police and school budgets by 20% to fund it. The member for Stratford and Gibraltar is complaining, but he said it on TV. And yesterday he said, it's simply not right that families are seeing their bills skyrocket and we do nothing. Was the Chancellor speaking on behalf of the government, Prime Minister, when he promised huge spending cuts and when he said that they're doing nothing on the cost of living crisis?
Prime Minister.
By the way, he's not answered a single question yet. Just that.
Look, Mr. Speaker, this is really pitiful stuff from the party that voted against the £39 billion, which is necessary to pay for those 50,000 nurses, which we're recruiting, and we will recruit by 2024, Mr. Speaker, which is necessary to pay for those hospitals and those doctors and those scans and that treatment. They don't have a leg to stand on, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell him something else. The reason we've got growth now at 0.5% in.
Well, I agree. Democracy has failed.
the tough
Well, I do believe no
decisions
lives
to
matter,
come
so,
out of
course.
lockdown on July the 19th last year, which he said was reckless.
But it doesn't mean watching this
He
isn't
said it was
interesting to
reckless. Our economy would not be strong enough now to make the payments we are to our fantastic NHS, and they know it.
Stop up. I really am going to miss this weekly nonsense from him. Let's move on. Let's move on from his current Chancellor to his former Chancellor. Last week he resigned, accusing the Prime Minister of not conducting government properly, competently or seriously. He suggested the Prime Minister is not prepared to work.
I wish they'd done that when Tony Blair was in office, but you sycophants were all the same. Oh, but he's just Tony, he's doing his thing. Yet, he completely undermined Parliament for a decade. Just saying.
Hard or take difficult decisions, and implied that the Prime Minister cannot tell the public the truth. Yesterday, he claimed his big plan is to rebuild the economy. Now, even the Prime Minister must be impressed by that Johnsonian brass neckery. Can the Prime Minister think of any jobs his former Chancellor may have had that means he bears some responsibility for an economy that he now claims is broken?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think everybody who's played a part in the last 3 years has done a remarkable job in helping this country through very difficult times. I just want to say to him, really, Mr. Speaker, the next leader of my party may be elected by acclamation, so it's possible this will be our last confrontation over this. It's possible. So I want to thank him. I want to thank him for the style in which he's conducted himself. I think it'd be fair to say he's been considerably less lethal than many other members of this House. And I'll tell you why that is. Because he hasn't come up.
Can I just say to this end of this front bench, I expect better behaviour, and I'm certainly going to get it.
What he's saying now is, shut the fuck up!
There's a reason for that, Mr. Speaker. Is over 3 years, in spite of every opportunity, he's never really come up with an idea, a plan, or a vision for this.
That's the thing. So he's asking Keir Starmer for a general election, and I find this quite interesting because I've not seen anything from him that would indicate he has an idea to go forward. He hasn't said anything. And if he wants an election, he's got to come up with a manifesto quickly, and a good one. He can't just use, but the Tories can't be trusted. Jeremy Corbyn used it twice. It didn't work. He lost both times. And yes, okay, the media was not on his side. And the media's hardly on Keir's side either. But they're not. It's not going to work, is it? Yeah, Labour are kind of predictable, aren't they?
For this country. And I can tell you that at the end of 3 years, Mr. Speaker, we got Brexit done, which he voted against 48 times. We delivered the first vaccine in the world and rolled it out faster than any other European country, which will never be possible to listen to him, Mr. Speaker. And we played a decisive role in helping to protect the people of Ukraine from the brutal invasion of Vladimir Putin and helped to save Ukraine, Mr. Speaker. And I'm proud to say that we are continuing, and every one of the 8 candidates will continue, with the biggest ever programme of infrastructure, skills and technology across this country to level up in a way that will benefit the constituents of every member of this House, Mr. Speaker. And it's perfectly true that I leave not at a time of my choosing. And it's absolutely true. But I am proud of the fantastic teamwork that has been involved in all of those projects, both nationally and internationally, Mr. Speaker. And I'm also proud of the leadership that I have given. And I will be leaving, Mr. Speaker. I will be leaving soon with my head held high.
I did notice the Annalise Dodds violin movement there. That was classy. Alright, let's get to the Scottish guy.
Before his...
The remarks of the Prime Minister in the murder of Shinzo Abe, a dreadful event that took place last weekend. Can I also thank you, Mr. Speaker?
I would love a bridge between Scotland and Northern Ireland. It would be so much easier.
hosting last night the charity Remembering Srebrenica. We
So you're not going to thank him for yeeting two of your members out of Parliament?
should all take time this week, on the 27th anniversary of the genocide that took place there, to think of the circumstances and the shame that we were not able to step in and stop the murder of so many innocent boys and men and the rape of so many women. And that we must learn the lessons from that. And of course,
Are you
at
talking
this
about the
time, we think
Vikings?
very much of those in Ukraine that are facing a war criminal, and make sure that those responsible are ultimately held to account for crimes against humanity. Mr. Speaker, the Tory leadership contest is quickly descending into a toxic race to the right, and it's clear that whoever wins that race, Scotland loses. The former Chancellor has pledged to govern like Margaret Thatcher. The current Chancellor is threatening 20% cuts to the NHS and public services, and they're all trying to outdo each other on an extreme Brexit costing the economy billions. Is the real reason that the Prime Minister won't endorse any of these awful candidates because whoever becomes
They're all awful, though, aren't they? It's oh, you know what's my name?
the next Tory leader will make Genghis Khan look like a moderate?
Who's Genghis?
Prime Minister.
Well, I feel a real twinge, Mr. Speaker, that this is probably virtually the last time I'll have the opportunity to answer a question to perhaps because he's going or because I'm going, I don't know. Mr. Speaker, all I would say to him is that I think that the next leader of my party will want to make sure that we do everything we can to work with the Scottish Government in the way that I've been able to do, I'm proud to have done over the last few years, to protect and secure our union. And my strong view, Mr. Speaker, having listened to him very carefully for years and years now, is that we are much, much better together.
Ian Blackford.
So, a nonsensical bullshit answer. All right.
I can say with all sincerity, I
But the
hope
question was
whoever
no
the next
better, to be
Tory leader
honest.
will be as popular in Scotland as he has been. Because for people in Scotland, Westminster has never looked so out of touch. We've got right-wing Tory contenders prioritising tax cuts for the rich, and a zombie UK government failing to tackle the cost of living crisis. Whilst the Tories are busy tearing lumpouts of each other, money-saving expert Martin Lewis has warned the energy price cap could soon rise by a sickening 65% in October to £3,244 a year. After a decade of Tory cuts and Brexit price rises, it will mean many families simply can't afford to put food on the table and heat their homes. Scotland literally can't afford the cost of living with Westminster.
Probably can't afford it with your taxes.
Does the Prime Minister not get that people in Scotland don't just want rid of him, they want rid of the whole rotten Westminster system?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think that's not what is actually happening in this country, is that we're using the fiscal firepower that we built up to cut taxes for working people, cut taxes for those on low incomes, and you saw that last week in the average of £330 tax cut on national insurance. We're increasing support for those vulnerable households from tomorrow, another £326 going in. And Mr. Speaker, it's thanks to our union that we were able to...
A union that might be compromised by an illegal referendum.
We were able to deliver the furlough scheme, which helped the entire country, and to make the massive transfers that boost the whole of the UK economy. And I think that the last thing the people of Scotland need now, the last thing they need is more constitutional wrangling when we need to fix the economy.
Well, I don't need any more of that. That was well, that was highly entertaining. The start of it certainly was. The later end flagged a little bit. Sorry about that, people. But I think we got a fair bit out of that, didn't we? Yeah. Wasn't completely embarrassing. It was mostly embarrassing. And as far as the discussion on benefits goes in the chat, I'm sorry I can't contribute towards that because I know nothing of it. I think we're done because I can't really think of anything to add to this. Other than to say, if you did enjoy, please smash the like. It really helps this channel. Please share it about. And if you do want to support, there's a QR code right there on the screen. Thank you all for joining. And I will see you tomorrow for a research stream.